thing ever. So.
Ryan, show gameplay.
No, I refuse to.
Ryan, would you say the game ruined the...
More conversing a set than I thought. Hello there. My name is You'll Forget It Later, and I'm here to fulfill a promise. You see, some people would say that when you're disappointed with something, leave it be and it will have no impact on your life. I disagree. Which is why I am fully ready to discuss why Fossil Fighters Frontier is one of the worst atrocities across this whole nation. And by nation, I don't just mean this country. No. I mean the nation that is entertainment through games of the video. Interactive media. So, without further ado, my case. You see, it all started back in around 2009. There was a game that was released in North America by the name of Fossil Fighters. Now, this game was released in Japan a year earlier and has seen positive reviews. Given my high, in-depth level of research, I've come to find out that in terms of sales, Fossil Fighters was a major success, one of the best-selling games of its year for the DS, which, if you know how well the DS sold, well, that says a lot on its own. Many people really enjoyed the game when it first came out. Metacritic has given it a score of 70 out of 100. GameSpot has gone on record to give the game a solid 7.5. However, IGN was a little less generous. They gave the game a 5.9. From what I can tell, their criticisms was on the side that it was too similar to Pokemon, which I will get into that very soon, but that honestly amuses me because they gave the sequel like a 7.5 and claim that the game is so freaking fun and addictive. Then again, this is IGN we're talking about, so take that for what you will. Now, in the first Fossil Fighters game, and this is very similar to the entire franchise, so I'll just summarize that in its entirety. The goal is to go to multiple different dig sites in which you excavate fossils from previously living dinosaurs. And your goal is to clean the fossils of their excess dirt while doing as little damage to the bone as possible. And in return, you're able to use said bones in order to resurrect the dinosaurs. And through this resurrection process, they gain the powers of the elements, including wind, fire, earth, and water. Some don't really get that power and they are considered neutral. Then there's some other stuff, but that's like getting really into the meta and that's like not worth it. They might as well be neutral. So, through these found powers, obviously people decided, hey, let's have them beat the shit out of each other. So, yeah, they ended up pulling a Pokemon. I understand that the similarities can be very apparent, being an RPG made from Nintendo, focused around elemental-powered monsters that fight each other for the entertainment of children. However, that's where the similarities tend to stop for the most part. The way the game works, at least in the first game, is you're able to choose from 3 dinosaurs out of a party of 5 that you pre-selected. And through those 3, you have to fight another set of 3 from an opposing team. And the map is laid out in which the one in the front deals the most damage, but takes the most damage, and the 2 in the back play more defensively, being able to take more hits, but are unable to do as much damage as the one in the front. And if one takes too much damage, you can send them to the back and have someone in the second row come in front, and after 2 turns, they heal. Please keep in mind that I haven't played this game since probably around less than 10 years ago, so my memory of the original game is hazy. And that is very similar to the other games as well. At least Champions. Frontier, I remember in very, very vivid detail. So yeah, as you can imagine, these different elements lead them to being more effective and less effective to other elements, or not, depending. Again, there's that important neutral type. And so a lot of the appeal is running around, digging up fossils, cleaning up the fossils, and then occasionally having a 3-on-3 brawl with some dinosaurs. By the way, when they're resurrected, they're called Vivisaurs, because why not? Personally, I love the game. I've played every single one, which currently there are only 3. And this one was, it was the first one. It came out about 10 years ago, which is definitely making me feel old, but also shows how much it's stood the test of time. I personally find the RPG mechanics to be interesting enough. For me, the main draw is the cleaning aspect, as well as the story that goes along within the game. I will not spoil too much right now, but it's very much a very engaging sci-fi thriller that really kept my attention the whole time, took me in directions that I did not expect, and overall was very nice. Nice, solid, clean. And then we have the sequel. Fossil Fighters Champions was released in 2011, also for the DS, and made by pretty much the same people. I didn't really get into detail about it, but Nintendo is the one who produced it. However, in terms of developers, that was more of a second party kind of deal. The actual development team was a mixture of Art Dink, M2 Red Entertainment, and some assistance from Nintendo SPD. So there's that. Now that can be said for both games, by the way. Get comfy with them for now, because I'm about to rip them away from you real soon. This game came out to similar acclaim to its predecessor. Metacritic gave it a 68, which is only 2 points lower than the original. GameSpot gave Champions a 6.5, and again, IGN gave it that 7.5. So there was less excitement around this one, most likely because the game is virtually similar in many aspects. My personal stance on it is I don't see it better as the original, but I also don't see it as worse. And what I mean by that is, while I loved the original game for its story and not so much its mechanics, I love the sequel. Not so much because of its story, but because of how well it was able to refine those mechanics. Now, the story in the sequel was interesting, where in the original one it gave like a small suspension of disbelief with these sci-fi elements. Now, in the sequel, they introduced concepts of magic and voodoo and stuff, and that was, I don't want to call that the jump the shark moment because it's not, but I will say that it was a little bit, it was asking me to believe more than what I was willing, just by smidge. It didn't ruin the story. I thought the story was still really good. It was just, I don't know. It was a conflicting feeling, because I liked where it went, but it's kind of not what I expected in terms of theming, I guess, is the best way I could put it. Honestly, it's up to your level of acceptance. Personally, I'm able to accept it. But what really drives me nuts is how they're able to refine the battling mechanic, the cleaning mechanic, how they're able to utilize more of the environment of the dig sites, and so on and so forth. They also had pre-rendered cutscenes! But, you know, that was just for this game specifically. Like, even Frontier didn't have that. Probably because they made, like, 3, and no one cared. So, those are my thoughts on both Fossil Fighters and Fossil Fighters Champions. As you can see, they were relatively accepted games for what they were. Simple, child-friendly, family-friendly RPGs focused around dinosaurs and archaeology, which can be very appealing to that specific audience. Now, Fossil Fighters Frontier is a load of bullshit! Oh my god, where do I begin? Enjoy the next 30 fucking minutes. Okay. I suppose I'll start with the beginning. Fossil Fighters Frontier was a game that released originally in Japan in 2014, but during a specific E3 conference sometime after that release. It was announced that it would be coming in North America in 2015. The game came out for the 3DS, the first time the franchise has moved away from the DS, which doesn't say much, but still, it's there. As far as the reception goes for this game, in terms of my high standards of research, the Wikipedia articles that I found on both Fossil Fighters and Fossil Fighters Champions had a subsection where it divulges into reception and how it was mostly positive with some critiques. There is not a single section in the Wikipedia page as of the filming of this video in which there is a reception section for Fossil Fighters Frontier. Metacritic very generously gave this game a 57. GameSpot gave Fossil Fighters Frontier a oh. Well, I don't know if you can see this. We have no news or videos for Fossil Fighters Frontier, sorry. Wow, they just really have not reviewed it. Interesting, okay. It's weird. They also, GameStop, what the fuck? You mentioned how it was first released in 2015, which was the North American release date. But you used the Japanese box art cover. You guys are stupid. Just like this game. So how bad did IGN find Fossil Fighters Frontier? They didn't rate it either. Yeah, literally no one is going around rating this game. I found like one review by Screw Attack on YouTube who gave it a mostly positive review, but they even admit they haven't even played the other games in the franchise. So then you scroll down to the comment section and then it's just filled with so many people just going, actually, this game is completely and utterly garbage. So yeah. Fossil Fighters Frontier is complete and utter trash. And I would love to leave it there. But unfortunately, in order to prevent shit like this from ever happening again, I must divulge into why this game is a steaming hot pile of gar. I'm gonna keep this open because there might be a thing or two that I might forget. I just closed it for comedic effect. Anyway, remember how I told you like the first two games were made by a mix of different developers? Guess what, motherfuckers? That's all out the window now. This entire game was developed by one company. Spike Chunsoft. More like Spike Chungitis. So what you got here is a complete Paper Mario / Banjo-Kazooie situation where the people who made the games great in the first place are completely replaced with people who probably never even touched the game, or at least don't have a proper understanding of why the games were good in the first place. So, this game has a bit of a gimmick. When you're going around through dig sites to collect fossils, instead of walking around on bare feet like, you know, a rationalist, they instead decided to make the whole map huge, because why not? But wow, walking is so slow in a giant open area. What can we do to make it get around faster? Okay. Look, I understand that you want to separate this game from the last one and the one before that. But guess what, assholes? The last game didn't need to do that. They just took the game and made it better, made improvements. It's a sequel in the sense that Pokemon has a sequel, where they make improvements to the battle mechanics, add a few more monsters, give it a new story, new shiny coat of paint, and that's really all you need. There's no reason to fix what isn't broken. Y'all went out and bought a fucking hammer. It's not the goddamn tools, it's what you do with them. Dick metaphor. Honestly, if they added cars, I would not be that upset. It's not that big of a deal. It really isn't. You want to have cars in the overworld map? Fine. Make it slightly customizable in the sense that you can only change the paint color, so you might as well be playing fucking putt-putt. Sure. Be able to interchange through different vehicles that have different stats. Some are faster, some are stronger, some are average. Dick metaphor. Sure. It doesn't end there. Oh, it's far from over from there. Now, going off of that complaint, when you do reach the dig sites with your cars and excavate for fossils, you're excavating for fossils in the fucking walls. You're not digging it from underground like you used to, or even just out of the walls on your own and then just like bringing them back to the place to clean them off. No, you clean them out from the walls. The fossils are in the wall, they are just excavatable by themselves. This is more of a nitpick, I will admit, but it's still worth bringing up, I believe. If any of you have ever seen Egoraptor's Sequelitis series, you'll probably be familiar with his video on The Legend of Zelda, in which he discusses acquiring the big key in a dungeon, only to then run over to the big chest to open it, comparing it to that of a kid on Christmas Day running downstairs towards the Christmas tree to open the presents. That's kind of the mentality that I had with the fossils in collecting them and bringing them to the cleaning research center, whatever the hell it's called. There was a bit of mystery and excitement of, ooh, what could it be? Because all you'll really know is what element of Vivisaur it could be. And if you've already excavated that fossil specifically before, or even just that part, that's the only time you'll know is if you've got it before. So if you have a question mark in your inventory, that's exciting. You bring that thing over to the cleaning center immediately, and it'll most likely end up being fossilized crap. No, seriously, since the first game, you could actually excavate for fossilized droppings. And they're pink. And for some reason, McDonald's gave me a lot of money for it. But that's besides the point. The point is that there was a level of excitement of not being able to do it on the spot. And I get what you were trying to do. And it's ultimately, at the end of the day, not even worth the amount of time I spent on it already. But I feel like it's still worth bringing up, just because of the whole point of this game is to feel like you're excavating fossils and kind of uncovering like mysteries of the past almost. Not that it fucking matters anymore, because guess what, assholes? You're not gonna use more than one goddamn dinosaur. That's right! In this game, they completely changed the battle mechanics. So, instead of them being held inside of like Pokeballs and Pokemon, the Vivosaurs are kept inside what are called these metals, whatever they're specifically called. And apparently when you're in the cars, you can only have your car shoot out one metal at a time, which is stupid. All we did in the first two games were like, throw 3 out at once. Just lean out the window, you're sitting completely still. Regardless, the mechanics make it so that you can only use one dinosaur at a time in a battle. Okay, I suppose that's fine. You know, if the opponent has like a majority of one type in your party, you can choose the one that would best suit you for fighting against that type, right? Well, yes. I suppose you could. If you had one! Oh my god. This is probably the dumbest mistake they've made. They made it so that because you can only shoot out one Vivosaur at a time, in order to have a 3-on-3 battle, which you do in this game, you have to recruit CPUs who are integral plot-driven characters to fight alongside you. And I say plot integral, like, loosely, because they're just people you befriend and are part of your gang of misfits, which, by the way, is the most stereotypical band of misfits I think I've ever seen in any story. I mean, it's been done to death. You have the fat kid who's goofy, the nerdy knows-a-lot kid, the girl kid, the I'm too cool for my own edge kid, and the girl who's good with cars because we have cars in this game kid, among several others. So one thing that I got wrong was that there is no nerdy know-it-all kid. The kid I was actually thinking about is a completely different stereotype, who is the shy, nervous kid who is uncertain of everything that he does. But for some reason, their idea of making it new is giving him pink hair, which I'm sure you can guess is really stupid. So you recruit them, and you recruit like 2 at a time, so that way you're fighting for V3. That isn't an inherently bad idea. But the way it's executed is the worst fucking thing that you could have ever mechanically have done. Let me explain this to you. When you only have to use one of your own dinosaurs at a time, what incentive do you have to use any other dinosaur other than the one that you're putting all of the experience into? Also, what motivation do you have to search for any fossils when all they'll give you is more dinosaurs that you'll never use when you're stuck focusing on one dinosaur? The game encourages you to not even partake in its selling point mechanic. So, in the first game, the first fossil that you clean is a very specific fossil whose, like, the dinosaur's name, I completely forget, but it's got spikes on its back and it looks cool. In the second game, you're given an option of 4 different Venusaurs to just start with. Similar to that of the starters in Pokemon, except it's one of each element other than neutral. In this game, you start off with a dinosaur. You find a dinosaur that is kind of the centerpiece of the entire story, for reasons that I won't get into, not that I think you would care. Basically, he's able to... He's like, yay big, but by putting, like, any bit of effort, he could just turn into the size of an actual dinosaur and fight. And he even evolves and gets stronger as he keeps fighting. Which really makes me ask, what's the point of using any other dinosaur? Throughout the whole game, all I ever did was use that same stupid dinosaur, and the only other time I used anyone else was for, like, one side mission and another side mission. There's one point in the game where you do lose him, but you immediately get him back, so there's no real consequence or feeling of loss. It's just... shit. It's just shit. Or, as my past self would have preferred to refer to it as, this asinine dog shit. I stand by that statement. Don't question me. Okay, so the cars are unnecessary. The battle mechanics have been gutted out and stripped of all of its integrity. Cleaning the fossils at least fun. That they thankfully didn't bother with too much. I don't think. If they did, I only have so much of a recollection of it. Well, that's all fine and dandy. But was the story at least good? No. No. Oh my God. One of the worst one-note, generic, boring, bullshit stories I think I have ever had the displeasure of experiencing. So, I'm about to go into spoiler territory. Again, I don't expect you to care. By the way, keep this in mind, this is a spoiler for all 3 games. Because I want to talk about why the stories work so well. In the first game, aliens came by to try and reclaim Earth as their rightful planet. As they were the next step in evolution for dinosaurs who were ultimately killed off. And they tried to reclaim a planet since they lost theirs. And it really brings up thoughts of our purpose in the universe and just what it means to exist and perceptions of acceptance and home and even mentalities towards those who are alien to you. The second game didn't go that heavy, like I said. It dealt more with voodoo stuff, like there was this skull that was cursed. He could throw himself on other people's heads and then they turn into skulls. It pretty much possesses people. But it was actually done about in a twist that I just did not expect. Again, you don't really see that coming. That's probably why they integrated it. It definitely brought about some interesting character development with not only your character, somewhat, but also just like the girl with the mask and your rival in that game, and even the professor, who technically you don't even meet until like midway through the game, because he was just possessed the whole time. This game, a guy wants to rule the world, and there is no twist. He has two lackeys, one of which is very Russian for some reason. We meet him at the beginning cutscene before we were introduced to even our playable character. He's the most overweight and grotesque looking character I think I've ever laid eyes upon. And so there's just no reason as to why you would expect him to be any semblance of not evil. I expected, oh, while talking to him, he might be misguided. No, he just fucking wants to rule the world, because of course he does. He develops a giant monster that's vaguely mentioned but never brought up until it's convenient to the plot. It turns out that was your dinosaur, but you just kind of brush past it and accept it, but because he's on your side now. So it didn't fucking matter. That was their idea of a twist. And it's so fucking weak. It's so goddamn weak. He literally turns into a giant grotesque dinosaur-like creature and you fight him and kill him. And he apparently built a robot duplica so you can beat him a second time in the post-game, which is weird. Oh yeah, the guy's name was Black Raven, all one word. Fucking Black Raven, as if that's not the most villainous name to be born with. You know, you went through all the trouble of making one character Russian. Why not just make him German? Make him as evil as you could fucking like stereotypically do. Because why put in effort to make a villain with understandable motivations, with relatable character flaws, when you could just do this?
You're always revealed to who it is secretly. Oh, are you doing this? Thank you. Okay, so in this game, you are told from the very fucking beginning he was evil, and there is no plot twist to that. He was just evil. There is no redemption, and it's just completely. It's just so goddamn awful. It's so bad because, like, in the other games, like the bad guys would have redeemable qualities. Some of them even turn good. This one, they're just bad. He has sidekicks that turn evil, but only after he's depleted. They have nowhere else to go.
This game goes through some weird stuff too. Like one of the post-game side missions is where you take the fat kid for a ride. He built some sort of experimental thing in his car where the more you fight in battle, the more he loses weight. And then he's just like, yeah, come on, keep fighting, don't stop now. And I'm just like, okay. And then he turns into a fucking twig. And everyone's worried for his health and feed him a bunch of stuff. And then he's just like, he wants to get fat again? Like, he actually wants to get fat despite the fact that he's actually the most fatless he's ever been in his life, presumably. And he's just like, I'm just accepting what I am. Bullshit. And then there's like a thing right before the end credits where like you all take a group photo. Because of course you do. And the girl who is really into cars is the one that takes the picture. And I shit you not, bitch says, and don't call it a selfie because not all pictures are selfies. And she says it with like one of the stock happy faces that they give characters. One of the main characters telling everyone to huddle together and take a picture. You know, that's stereotypical bullshit. But then she says, and I quote, and don't call it a selfie, not every picture is a goddamn selfie. And that is when I realized, oh, the writer was just inserting his insecurities into the game. Got it. He has a daughter that doesn't understand, who's annoyed with the technology and the words we use, and ended up dating the fucking game, not that it matters. And that answers everything to me. This wasn't written for integrable purposes. This was written because they had to write something. And that's why I fucking hate this game! It's really hard for me to know.
I don't think he needs a get up. Group hug! Jesus Christ! For the real one!
Well, that was fucking dreadful.
I'm done. I'm done. There's so many other reasons why this game is shit. And please don't misconstrue it. I want the game to be amazing. And as it stands, it's not. It's not even passable. It's complete and utter garbage. And I only say this because I don't want the next game to be garbage. As of recording this, E3 is right around the corner, so there could be the possibility of an announcement. Who knows? It'll probably be for the 3DS. However, the 3DS is kind of running out of time, so if we ever do get another entry, it'll probably be on the Switch. And here's the thing, the cleaning the fossil process utilizes the second screen touchpad, so I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm just saying that if you want to use, if they incorporate it to be touchscreen enabled, you would have to use it undocked, which is fine. Like, give me the options at least. Or just like give me the cursor with the joystick or something. I only say this because I want the next game to be especially better than Frontier. Frontier gets a triple F from me. Mostly because that's an anagram for the title, but also because it's thematically appropriate. That's not all the complaints, but that's all that I can remember at this specific moment in time. So, take that for what you will. Thank you for indulging me, and have a swell afternoon. And you bet my ass that I'm going to be reviewing the next one if it comes out. Maybe not this year. Maybe not even the next. We haven't had a release since 2014-15, depending on what you count as release. So it's been some time. My only fear is that Nintendo sees that as like oh, no one wants to play Fossil Fighters anymore. Instead of, oh shit, this new developing team that we put in charge of the game sucks ass. So, the fate of the franchise is kind of up in the air right now. Regardless, T-Rex for Smash. At least as like one of those trophy characters that you can summon. You can smash around and run around the course and just headbutt things. Be cool. Don't even get me started on fucking Gates to Infinity. That shit was stupid. And people will disagree with me, but Super was even worse than that. It's complete and utter